the snowball effect. It's momentum, right? If you roll a snowball down a hill, the surface area of the snowball increases and it collects even more snow. All that matters is the perception of what Bitcoin is and where it's positioned in the future.
Hi guys, welcome to my little studio. My name is Darian J, and welcome back to my evening session. And this evening we are doing a production session as opposed to a writing/recording session, which I do in the mornings. Best to do it in the mornings when you're nice and fresh. And you're not second guessing yourself the whole time. So this evening we are going to be working on a track that we've worked on previously. I'm not sure if we've done any sessions on the stream, but this one is called let me share screen 2. This one is called Power Laws, and it's we have done 4 sessions on it. So the first session is the original splurge, the original live recording of the idea, and then we've done on to 3 sessions after that, one of which I think, did I do another run through? No, I didn't. Okay, so I've just done 3 production sessions on it. So last one we did was on the 15th of January, which is 3 days ago. So as I said before, we leave things for 3 days before we work on them again. That way we make sure to have enough ideas in rotation to work on, to make sure we don't work on things too quickly after we've worked on it before. Now we're not releasing 1 track a week like I was last year. I have the luxury of leaving things for those 3 days. Working on a track or releasing a track a week meant I was having to work on things quite quickly afterwards and just rushing it through, which makes it a little bit more difficult. But when you get into the practice of doing it, you can disassociate from the music enough just to just get it done and get it out. But now we have the luxury of spending some time, which is great because I haven't done that for quite some time now, since probably the middle of last year, when I started to go out again and see people and socialise, as we all did. Spent less and less time working in the studio, having days off and whole weekends off and that kind of thing, which puts a lot of pressure on you when you're trying to release a track a week. But now, so we're back. So first thing first, we're going to have a listen to this track. We're going to mute my mic, so we can have a proper listen. I'm going to put my headphones on as well, just so I can hear it a bit more in detail. I'm not sure we're working on the mix. I'm not sure if we're working on the mix, but we won't worry about that. We're just going to listen to the headphones anyway. So if you've got a good pair of headphones, I advise you to put them on now, so you can hear the fine details. Obviously, if you've got a great set of studio monitors, you can listen through there as well, because that will give you a better representation of how the sound is, as in the stereo field, the depth, and the frequency separation. But just for actually enjoying or trying to enjoy the track, hopefully, headphones will work very well indeed. So let's whack those on, turn my mic off and start playing. Okay, so not sounding too bad. It's a little bit lacks some interest, quite for some of the parts, some of the sections, but some edits and some bits and bobs will solve that. So I've made a list which we'll go through in a second. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to fire up the project. So it's called Power Laws. So let's go to my folder, shortcut down here, and we're in progress folder. Where's Power Laws, Power Laws, Power Laws? Okay, so version 3.2. It's funny because there are issues with it, not major issues, but there's kind of simple things that need to be done. There's simple things that aren't happening. That's stopping it from ebbing and flowing correctly. So there's not enough release and tension going on. And if we can solve those issues, I reckon there'll be some other issues will come to the fore, for want of a better term. So if we can just focus on the issues we can hear, we can then listen back another time, and I imagine there'll be other issues that will come up. So let's switch to the old dual screen mode, and I'm going to let's focus on screen 2 because this is my list. So these 4 things here are my standard checklist. So I'm just going to put these at the bottom. These come up automatically when I create this the label for this card, which is release label. So when I decide I'm going to release a track, as in that's something that I can release and will release at some point. Not sure in what capacity, whether it's going to be a free release or self-release or send it to a label, I don't know. But I know it's good enough. It was good enough at one stage, I thought, that it's good enough to release. So I'm going to trust that decision at that time, even if we start doubting it, which I kind of am a little bit now, but we're not going to worry about that. Let's just work through this. So I've identified the problems. All we have to do now is find some solutions. Now, a lot of these are self-explanatory, so I don't have to put too much into it. So, for example, pads a bit loud. Obviously, just turn them down a bit. Rounds a touch loud in first half, same thing. Bass a little bottom heavy. So, again, self-explanatory. Just take a little bit about the bottom end off with the EQ. Vox a little bottom heavy as well. Basically, because my music is quite bass-led. It's quite deep. There's always a lot of bass going on, and it makes mixing a little bit tricky. So we just try and trim off as much bass as we can from everything that doesn't really need it, and even from the bass itself. So there's a bit of room for it to move, so to speak. Okay, so Vox a little bottom heavy, so take a bit of a cut off there. Higher bass notes a bit loud. So a lot of the time I'll do bass lines with just the same note, so it's just like a chuggy constant, kind of quite proggy in that respect. Sometimes I will do different notes in a bass line, and with this kind of bass sound that I use, which is quite a kind of moog, kind of deep, heavy bass, when you have different notes, the higher notes tend to be louder than the lower notes. They kind of jump up. So I could mess around with velocities, which is how hard you press the note. Or what I'm going to do here is duplicate channel and process higher notes separately. I hope I'm spelling separately right there. So drums a bit samey in third quarter. So we're going to add some glitchy edits, which we're going to do with effects. And outro 2, I just felt it went on a bit long, this track, and at 7 minutes something, that is a bit long for me. for this kind of track. It's not a prog house epic, so it doesn't need to be that long. 5.5 minutes, long enough. 6.5 minutes, kind of pushing it. So I'm going to cut some time. So from total, cut 30 seconds from total time. Now I'm not sure where I'm going to cut that, so I'm going to have a look and see. Maybe that third section, that third quarter, maybe a bit long. Maybe the actual outro itself is a bit long. So we'll figure it out. Right, I'm going to put my glass on because I'm starting to strain my eyes. Okay, so let's go to dual screens and me. Okay, so as I've explained before, and I'll briefly explain again how things are set up here because it may look a bit confusing for some. I haven't got many instruments. I've got my kick on a separate channel. I've got bass. I've got my drum kit, my drum rack on one channel. I've got sample drum rack on another channel. I've got my rounds, which is my lead synth. I've got Omnisphere, which is playing a pad. I've got Repro One, which is playing that kind of pluck keys sound. Then I've got a vocal channel, vocal channel, and then I've got this effects channel, which is playing this weird sound bed all the time. Oops, weird sound bed all the time. That's really loud. Is that me loud? Oh, this. Okay. Right. So, and then all these channels, the audio from each of these channels is being fed to a series of bus channels, which I call performance channels, that I control with my MIDI controllers. And that means I can just slam the faders up and down willy-nilly without worrying about where the volume was to start with, because I've got the separate volumes on the actual instrument channels, which I don't mess around with during the recording. And then I've got the performance channels. So parts will come in and out based on the MIDI controller parameters, the automation that's recorded in. And also there will be clips and parts stop and start from when I've been pressing the clips on the push during the recording. So it's a little bit confusing, but it saves a hell of a lot of time getting to this point. So it's worth spending a little bit of extra time here, fanning around, excuse my French, with the bits and bobs in order to reduce the complete time, the total time spent. Okay, so let's go back to our list. And we've got, so pad's a bit loud. Okay, simple as that. Enough. Let's just turn those down. I'm gonna push them back a bit with a touch more reverb as well. I'm also going to add a Waves S1 imager stereo imager. So add that to. Oh, what we've done? Oh, it didn't work. So add device. So weird. Okay, so load. There we go. I forget what I'm doing here. Okay, I'm just going to widen that a little bit. Okay. So that'll do. I'm doing this in my headphones. So the sound doesn't interfere going out the speakers through the mic. Obviously, normally I would be mixing through the speakers, but I've got a funny feeling this is not going to be the last session with this track, so I'm not worried about that just now. As I said before, I'm not under pressure to finish this in a certain amount of time, so I can have the luxury of spending more than one session each time. So rounds a touch louder first half, so I'm just going to bring these down. I'm not sure why they're louder in the first half than they are in the second half, but to me they sounded quite loud, so I'm just going to turn these down a touch. Okay, it wasn't the volume, it was the filter envelope on the actual instrument was open further in that first section. That's why it seemed so much louder. I'm also going to just take a little bit more of the bottom end off that. To give us a bit more room for the bass and the kick. Okay, so done that. So next one, bass a little bottom heavy. So that's very simple. We just take a little bit more off the bottom end. So that's done. And then I'm going to take a little bit more off the kick as well, because that feels a little bit loud. So just a touch. Because both the kick and the bass are quite heavy, quite big. So it's quite unusual to take that much bottom end off the kick. It's going up to like 64.8 hertz. But if I have any more, it's just overpowers everything. So maybe I should use some different kicks. That's another story. Okay, and I thought the Vox had a bit too much bottom end in it as well. I think it's because it's pitched down. It's adding a bit of bottom end. Also, listening there as well, I'm hearing that the vocal, now the bottom end has been taken off, the vocal and the pad. Sorry about that, the delay. The vocal and the pad are fighting each other a little bit, frequency-wise. Sorry about that. So, let's isolate these two, if we can. And we're going to grab FabFilter Pro Q3. It's just a bit more detailed. Now there are plugins that will do this for you automatically, but I haven't bought them and I can't remember what they're called. So I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to find the kind of main frequency for the vocal. And then what we're going to do, we're going to take that frequency out of the pad. So let's hear the vocal. Okay, it's about there, I think, which is 2,379 hertz. So let's just copy this over to the pad, and then we can just turn that on and reduce the gain and just widen out a bit. Now I've just kind of chosen a frequency there, really, what sounds like it could work, because I don't know what works and what doesn't. So I just got to try it. So what I may do, let's have a look, listen to the pad on its own and see if we can take that frequency, something from the vocal, out and leave the pad to do its work in that frequency. So let's find a frequency we can do that with. Quite like that. So let's widen that. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to copy this back to the other channel. Save some time. And then take the other one out. Turn that one off. And bring that one down. So it's definitely better to remove frequencies than add them. Oops. I find. Oh, that's a bit weird. Let's see how that sounds. Okay, that sounds okay. I'm also adding and side chaining one to the other, which you can do quite easily in Ableton Live. And then adding some ducking. So as you can see, it's automatically reducing the frequencies when they appear, rather than all the time. I'm also going to do that with the effects, because what's happening is you've got the delay effects and everything, and they're also clashing a bit with the pad and the vocal. So if I copy one of these over to that return channel here, and let's put both those frequencies in, reduce, and sidechain to we may have to do both, so let's do this. So turn that off. Oh no, hold on, where am I? Get confused now. So I want to do this one. So this trying to change the vocal, so we're going to turn that one off. Then we're going to copy that. So I'm going to have two EQs on here. One being sidechained to the vocal, one being sidechained to the pad. because you can't sidechain to both. Okay, see what that sounds like. So that's all 4 EQs all working with each other. Just taking a bit of low end out of the Vox and the pad as well. Okay, that'll do. There's definitely more separation there. Hopefully that'll be enough. Okay, so Vox a little bit. I've done that. We went down a rabbit hole a bit there, but it's something we hadn't noticed earlier, and it should help the mix quite a bit, I think. Okay, so higher note, bass notes a bit loud, duplicate channel, process higher notes separately. Okay, so this is what I do with this. So my bass line up here on the range page, up here, over here on the session view. So Control D to duplicate, and then what we do, I'm just going to consolidate all these parts on the right screen. Consolidate by right clicking. Same with this one, and then the top channel, we're just going to have the lower notes. So we're going to mute those. 0, mute, and that one. So we just have the low note, and then bottom channel we're going to mute the low note. Now we may need to do it 3 times to separate the other 2 notes off as well. But let's just see, because we should be able to just lower the volume on this second channel, and it should sound equal. I'm just going to solo these, one so you can hear what it sounds like, but also just to see if the levels are right. I'm not listening to this in isolation to fix it in the whole mix. I'm just listening to these 2 channels in isolation so I can level them against each other only. Okay, just a bit of a tip there. Try not to solo too many things. You want to work on the whole mix as much as possible, because that's, you don't look at a painting and just go right into one bit and paint that. You look at the whole thing while you're doing that. So this is what we're doing here. Okay. Still a bit loud, and as you can see on the channels here, one is peaking at minus 16.4, the other one is peaking at minus 12.6, so it's still quite a bit louder. So we're going down a couple more decibel. It doesn't sound too different in the headphones, but you'd be surprised. I'm going to take that back up a touch. That's okay. No, it's definitely, yeah. Oops. It is a bit loud still, so I'm going to bring it back down. I'm going to use my eyes as well as my ears here. I'm going to match them close enough decibel wise. Sounds about right. Hey Giovanni, thanks for joining. Feel free to ask any questions. Okay, so where are we now? So go back to my list. So I've done the higher bass note a bit loud. Let's tick that off. Next one, drums a bit samey in third quarter. Add some glitchy edits. Oh, exciting. So third quarter is from the break really onwards. So let's have a listen. Okay, that'll do. So let's do that. I was just messing around with. I've got a MIDI controller set up for Looperator on the Kick Bus channel. I'll show you that. Where is it? Okay, Looperator. So I've got this set up, and there's a pattern in there, and basically. MIDI controller, all the MIDI controller is doing, if you look down here on the left, all I'm doing is switching it on and off like that. Simples. So sorry about that effect going on. So we're gonna record this, and I'm gonna do. Oh, we've also got the a button set up for the low cut, which is here. God, my mouse is playing up. So it basically just switches that low cut on and off. Thanks, Giovanni. I might hit you up for those. Some glitch effects racks. Sounds quite interesting. Okay, so I switch this on and off. And that, in conjunction with my Looperator, is enough glitch for the moment. So I'll just put these up here so you can see them. And then let's record. Oops. I'm stretching a bit here to reach. Just keep it simple. Oh, what's happened there? Oops. I'm going to delete that because I knocked the controls for the drum sounds, which brought the volume down and messed everything up. So let's try again. Okay. I have tried Stutter Edit, Giovanni. I had it a long time ago, actually. So slightly longer edit this one. Okay. Another tip is don't get into the habit of listening for listening's sake. When you're working on tracks at this stage, if you're listening all the time, you just get fed up and you get frustrated and bored and tired and you start doing the wrong things. So basically, listen when you're actually doing something, or if you need to listen to something before you do something. No other time. So don't keep it playing all the time. It's really going to drive you insane. So so that's that for that little section, because that was the only issue. Yeah, Giovanni, I do like stutter edit. I just remember it being a bit proggy for some reason at the time. I don't know what it was. And I tried it and I wanted to use it for live performance, and it was quite demanding as well, if I remember rightly, on the old CPU. But maybe I'll give it another go. I think I've got a license for it somewhere. So yeah, I'll try and dig that out. Thanks, mate. Okie dokie. So also you need a keyboard, don't you? You need a keyboard to trigger the edits, which is another control rather than just having a simple fader to trigger. I don't know. We'll have a look at it. Yeah, absolutely. Make more glitches in a short time for sure. I think with a bit of setup and a little bit of practice, it could be really useful. So maybe I'll have a look when I get some time. Okay, so Ash some glitchy edit. Well, that glitchy, just edits really. So that'll do. The outro too long. Cut 30 seconds from total time. So why does the outro feel so long? Oops. My mouse is playing up. I suppose it's 64 bars long. Nothing changes for the first 32. Okay. The intros are also quite long. Let's have a quick listen to this last part. This is from the break, actually. Okay, I think I'm just going to take these last 16 bars off. I think I was being a bit OCD having it exactly 64 bars, so 4 16-bar sections. Don't think we need to. And I think I'm going to also take out... See, less is more. I'm going to take out something else. 16 bars in. So let me separate that clip. Control E separates what you've highlighted, so you can then work on that clip on its own. So go over here. See if check that is actually playing. Oops. Drums. Yeah. So let's take the closed hat out, and there'll be a bit more of a straight drum for the ending. Cool. That'll do. Okay, so yes, Giovanni, I have SoundCloud. It's soundcloud.com/Darian J DJ. So same as the Twitch channel, Darian J DJ at the end. I've got all the tracks on there that I released every week last year, and some mixes as well. Fill your boots. Make sure you follow, and I'll follow back, mate. Okie dokie. So, right. So, ouch, too long. So, yeah, about 30 seconds. Okay, so this is my default checklist here. So, make sure the output's minus 6 dBs, ready for mastering. So let's go to a loud part. God, this is really annoying me. I think it's because it's wireless and I'm streaming. It's playing up with my mouse. Yes, chums. How you doing, buddy? How's the no drinking going? I'm still sober, mate. I'm still staying off it. Okay, so this section... No, that's not a very loud section. This section is quite loud, so let's listen to this. And we need to just reduce the master output to minus 6. And we're not going to do it actually on the master. We're going to do it before that. I'm not sure why you do that, but you want the actual signal going to the master at minus 6. If you just turn it down, I don't think it leaves the headroom or something. So, good man, staying off the booze. Yeah, us too. I really enjoyed it, mate, actually. Anyone else doing dry Jan? So much fun. All right, so my mix bus. So, as I said before, I've got these performance channels. Each of those performance channels go to 4 mix channels. Again, so you're basically taking separate entities. Oops, wrong screen. And then you combining them together into the performance channels. No, actually, the performance channels are not combining anything. That's just for performance. So you get the performance channels, and then they're going into 4 mix channels just to glue the elements together. So it's like a 4-piece band. So you got the rhythm section, you got the bass, you got the rhythm section, you got the guitar, and you got effects. So you got 4 things. So and I label this. So I've got low mix, perk mix, so percussion mix, melodic mix, and FX mix. So low mix, you've got kick and the bass. So they're both going through that channel. On that channel, we've got some these Crystal Lord algae mix bus plugins. So kind of designed for bands. So but they work really well for gluing electronic music together. They're kind of very analog sounding. So on the bass and the drums, you've got this sub control. So let's solo this. So sub control. Take that off. Add a bit of sub. Honk. So we're taking a little bit of the honk out of the bass. Probably can't hear that. Push, which is some compression. Definitely hear that. And then again, an actual sub. Also, the sub setting is for the bass itself, bass, treble, and compression, and then you've got an actual sub. So turn that on just to give a bit of welly. And we've got the perk mix. So we've got drums and percussion going to this. Yes, Giovanni, how the mighty have fallen. Waves, indeed. They're still great. I do have UAD, but I don't have enough processing power on my UAD for mixing, really. So I save those for the creative stuff, and I save them use them for mastering. But these waves, Crystal, I may tell you, mate, you got to try them. Gels everything together. I'm also using the SSL, the Waves SSL emulation on the performance channels. Again, so you've got some bus mixing there, and then they're going into these crystalline algae to gel them together even more. Yeah, you can't beat Waves really. Not for native processing plugins, they're still the best. But UAD pisses all over 'em, mate. But you've got to have the card, and they're expensive. Okay, so you got the perk mix, and again I've got these are actually going through the cowbell setting on the Crystal Lord Algae drums bus mix plugin. I'm not sure what it's actually called. It's called CLA drums stereo. And the cowbell setting, just put that everything through the cowbell setting, and it sounds great. More cowbell. No, I don't have the UAD interface. I use a Fireface 400, which is quite old now, but it's such a clean interface. You can't beat RME for clean signal at that price point. And at the time when I got that, the Apollo 8 had come out, I think. But it's just so expensive, and I got that as a graded unit because I used to work for a DJ shop, and I used to get cheap stuff, and it was a graded unit, so it had been a customer return. I got it for half price, and I've never looked back. So I've got that, and I've got a PCI UAD card in the PC itself. And yes, I'm using PC, not Mac, because I haven't got any money. So that combination, RME with the UAD card, is as good as, if not better, than the UAD interfaces. Although I'd love one. I'd like a Mac too, but if anyone's got any money you want to throw my way, feel free. So the perk mix going through the cowbell setting. Let's turn that off. So it's quite flat and dull. Bit of life, bit of bite to the treble. Turn the lower end down slightly on the bass, and some compression. Gels it all together nicely. And then the melodic channel, we've got the lead, the pads, and the keys going through here. Yeah, good shout on the UAD. Which one did you get? Did you get the Duo? Or did you get something bigger? Did you have the money? I wish. Thing is, with the RME as well, it's got 8 in, 8 out. Can't go wrong. I used that for... I've actually got an old Focusrite Sapphire as well, which got 2 in and 8 out, which is wicked. It's like the first interface that Focusrite brought out. And I've been using that for live performance for years and years and years, because it's got 8 outputs, so you can go into 4 channels into a DJ mixer, and all kinds of fun. Yeah, so 8 outs, 8 in, can't go wrong. All right, so melodic mix going through the guitar, CLA guitar stereo plugin, and again we've got a bit of bass on there. We've added some bite to the treble. We've gone through some compression. We've also got a little bit of delay, an 1/8 delay. So let's listen to that without. And also there's a pitch control, which with a stereo setting. You've got stereo, wide, and spreader. And stereo just basically pitches out slightly left and right. Oh, the Apollo Quad, nice. Okay, so this is without. Again, a little flat. Let's put it on. Everything jumps out a bit more. It's a bit wider. Let's try that again. Off. On. Gels everything together nicely. And then the effects mix. Oops. I can't solo that one because I've got some weird routing going on. I've got the return. I've got some return effects coming back to that. So it's feeding on itself, and then I've got. So I can't solo, but I'll just mute the others. So you can hear this. This is just the effects you're hearing. Everything being sent to the effects. And again, a little bit of top on the EQ. A little bit of short delay, a dotted eighth, and then this tape phase pitch effect. So let's turn this off. Just loop that section up. Okay, that's with it off. So again, fairly dull, quite lifeless. Put it on. This pitch control is great. You hear that? But just a little bit of that, just subtle. Okay, cool. So let's a quick walk through that. Very much sidetracked there. So mix bus again. I've got CLA mix on here. What's it called? CLA mix down stereo. So again, those 4 channels are then going into this bad boy. And again, we're just going to glue those together a little bit more before it goes to the main output. So again, let's have a listen to the whole thing. This is it off. On. Off. On. Again, very subtle because we don't want to put too much on the main out, even though it's not quite the main out. We're just subtly gluing things together a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. So we're going to just reduce the volume out on this, so we come down to minus 6 decibel. Oh, we actually are already. We're already at minus 6, which is great. I must have done this already. Yeah, I've turned this down. Let's check. Let me just check it stays at that level later on. Cool. Yeah, it's not going past minus 6.21, so we're good to go there. So, what else is on my list? Okay, so output minus 60 dB. Okay, 1 decibel volume dip at breaks. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. Don't stop and take a look around once in a while. You could miss it. No, I said it before, but I'll say it again. What I do during the breaks, so I've got 1 break here, break there. Any short breaks in this track. It's probably why it sounds so long. And I got break there. So this break. Hold on, maybe I have done this already on the master. Yes, I have done already. I've probably talked about this before. But as you can see here, I've done a 1 decibel dip on that break and the same on this break here. So during the breaks, it drops in volume slightly. So when it comes back in, there's a bit more power, which is much more evident after mastering than it is in mixdown. But let's just play it, see if you can hear it. Yeah, a little bit more power there. I just realised I wasn't sharing my screens when I was talking about all those plugins. Sorry about that. I'm just looking at my ugly mug instead. I think you could see them anyway. But if you have any questions, I can answer them in the chat. If you need plugin names or anything like that, do let me know. Okie dokie. So that's that done. So I must have done that before. Mixdown is done pretty much. At least I've had a go at it. So that'll do for now. I just want to check. Yeah, because I've got... Yes, I haven't got the SSL on the drums. I've seemed to have missed this out on some of these earlier Spurges. So I'm just going to put that on. Mixdown. I do have a what do I have? Preset drums, drum bus copy from my UAD SSL, because one of the things I used to get working in a DJ shop where I ran a production store in London, I used to get all the UAD plugins for free, all of them, and I had them for years. Even when I left the shop, I think I had them for another 2 years after that, and it was great. But then it stopped. They stopped renewing it. They got wise to my scam, and they stopped renewing it. So I had to basically copy the plugin settings over to the Waves version, and it's close enough. The thing is, I haven't set this up properly, so I'm just going to quickly mix the drums and add a little bit of compression here. Just bring the ratio down, threshold up. I've said this before. This compressor. Again, just to save time, I could listen for ages and is that better? But I basically just use the lights as my guide. So I just want a tiny bit of compression on this. EQ, I've got a little bit of low mid frequency gain, a little bit of low frequency gain, but that's it really. And then just a bit of light compression. As you can see, this little yellow light here just comes on. You can see how much release is on there as well, by how quickly it turns off, and you can see how much threshold and ratio is by how many lights come on. So just a touch. See, it's just compressing that clap there, so maybe so we've got the bottom lights coming on for everything, and then the next light comes on for the clap, because the clap is a little bit more powerful, a little bit louder. So that'll do. Let's have a quick check. Yeah, it's nice. The drums are nice and full now, where they weren't quite before. I think I've actually released a few tracks without doing that to the drums, which is probably why I don't like those tracks quite as much. I never knew at the time. That's what happens when you're rushing. Sometimes you forget stuff. Okay, so that is it, I think. Feel free to drop me questions in the chat about this session, or anything else, of course, while I bounce this out. So first of all, remember, save it under a different name, because we may have completely ruined it without realizing. And by saving under a different name, we can always go back to the previous version. And I always use just numbers. The version, this one was number 3, because it was the third take of the original idea. And then each version I work on after that will be 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and so on. Just an easy way to keep track. Okay, so save that. And we'll bounce this. What am I doing? Record. So another great shortcut. Control S for save is save as. Control S and R is record. Just save you some time. Again, I'm going to bounce this out at a 24-bit WAV with no dither. You don't want a dither. Dither is for mastering, not before. I go at 24 because I want the file to be as large as possible to then squish it back down to 16 in the mastering process. I know mastering engineers do it at 24-bit, but this isn't going out anywhere. It's not going on vinyl. It's not going out anywhere that's going to be pumping out that kind of quality, so I'm not worried about that. Okay, so we're going to bounce this out. And let's check the chat in a second. Okay, so in progress. Giovanni, good question. Do I do feedback? I do. I haven't done it yet on a stream because I've only just started doing this, but I definitely will be at some point. If you've got a track, I haven't got a Discord or anything set up where you can send those yet, but do keep in touch. If you head over to my website and subscribe to my newsletter, I will be I'll take these off now. I will be letting people know when I do start doing feedback sessions and things like that. Thursday, again, I do Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the afternoon UK time. Tuesday in the mornings I do recording, as in creating ideas or doing new takes of an idea, and then in the evening I do production on a Tuesday, and on Thursday I'm going to do a performance. So for the time being, I think I'm going to do a DJ mix on Thursday. Why not, for a laugh? As the year goes on, I'm hoping to start working on creating a live set. But there's no rush on that because I haven't got a good enough laptop to take it out live yet. So there's no rush on that. But a feedback session, I may do something at the weekends. But I say, subscribe to the newsletter. I'll let everyone know what's going on as and when it happens. And of course, catch me here Tuesdays and Thursdays. Hopefully we can do something. Maybe we can do something on the stream. If you've got something, you can send it across. And I can maybe just send a SoundCloud link or something, and we can have a listen on the stream, and I can do some feedback as best I can. Now, bearing in mind, if I do feedback, it won't be particularly technical. I will be looking more at the whole thing, as in the track itself, the arrangement, the arc, the mix, and whether there is enough tension and release and that kind of thing. Okay, so if that's the kind of feedback you want, by all means, check in next on Thursday, and I will catch you then. All right, guys, thanks for joining, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.